from the local undertakers. Okay, so I go there, ask if they've got any offcuts of white marble, which they have. Guy slices me up 100 bits for 20 bucks. Seriously. So, yeah, the good thing is, marble is, this is pure calcium carbonate, and that's what a coral skeleton is actually made of. So from a compatibility point of view, you can't get any better. They're heavy, coralline algae grows all over them, the corals encrust onto them, easy as can be. They're cheap. You know, I mean, I use an assortment of things for fragging, okay? I've got, you know, bits of rock, frag plugs, Andrew, all sorts of bits. Have we got an Andrew? Okay.
Yeah, that's me.
So, what's he yelling about?
Okay, see ya.
Okay, so what we do, let's assume we've got our lovely hunk of coral here, complements of Al. Now, basically you want to find a piece that you think is going to be suitable to cut off. With something like this, there's plenty of bits to choose from, so side cutters are as good as anything to get the first cut, and just break it off, bit thick, very little cut. Right, okay, break it off, another chunk there, maybe that one there actually, or you can make a big frag, there's not on big frags, good luck with that. Oh, well maybe. So, then we get the Dremel. And the Dremel's a wonderful tool. The diamond blade, very sharp, so you've got to be careful. But in a nutshell, it's a matter of just cutting through the skeleton. It obviously generates a fair bit of heat. But the beauty of it is it makes a clean, straight cut. You give it a good wash, because acros don't like getting cut, they don't like getting washed, and you will find that they slime up a lot, you get a lot of mucus and stuff coming off them. It's very normal. So at the moment, I would make a frag out of that very easily. I'll show you how. This one here is a bit rough around the edges, so we want to make a nice flat bottom of it. So with the Dremel. Okay, and it's a nice flat bottom. Now with smaller bits, but to be honest, there's nothing to it as far as just using, like I say, your side cutters. I mean, you want to look for a piece that's, you know, got a couple of little branches that you can get to, and this is pretty tough. So again, in there, just give it a bit of a twist, and they come off. Okay, they break off easy as can be. All right, so there's a big one there. There we go. All right, so now we've got various frags. Now that's going to be a beauty, so I'll show you how we'll play the game with this guy. Put the Dremel down for a moment. Get one of these plugs. Give it a little rinse. Dry it on the towel. Now this is the magic formula, okay? That's just super glue. But that's actually a thick gel, okay? I get that from Stanbridges, you know, the hobby shop in Mount Lloyd, sells the model plane stuff. That's about $13, and that's 1 ounce. Now, you know, you go to Bunnings, it's $3 for a little tube. You squeeze it twice, it runs everywhere, and it's gone. This stuff lasts for ages. So, let's get our frag that we just had. And we might make this one go nice and level. So, don't be frightened, get the coral and dry it off a bit. You know, I mean, don't belt it, but certainly the area where you're going to be gluing it, you've got to dry it, okay? Yeah, it doesn't like it, but it's there. Now, blob of glue on top, and yeah. Now, that's enough. Now, this is the thick stuff, so they still take a little while to set, but if you can cut them right, so the thing will actually sit upon its own weight, and therefore you don't have to worry about standing it up, positioning it, which it's not going to do. So what you always do is you just find something for just, there you go. So, give that about 3, 4, 5 minutes, it'll be stuck on there, that's it, it's off and racing. Put it in your tank, you will find that it's got obviously a very nice solid base to be supported on. It's going to encrust onto there, won't get blown away by your pumps. That's the worst thing you do to corals. If you know, they get knocked over, they get stung, you're moving it. Once you find out where you're going to put it, leave it. Don't move it. I find that upsets their They're not happy, and it basically sets you back. So once you decide where it's going to be, think thoroughly before you put it in place, because you really want to keep it in situ, because otherwise you set yourself back. So that little guy there is...
So the process is fairly similar with like a chunk of live rock or something like that?
Absolutely. It's just that, you know, the live rock's got algae and a bit of other crap, etc. growing on it, so you want to give it a... Scrape it back so you're back to a bare rock surface.
I mean, for you guys that are doing lots of it, then you probably
exactly.
have frag plugs,
but anything, you know, these are frag rocks that they sell. The same mobs who sell the frag plugs sell these things. I reckon they're great because they're much more natural looking.
They look a bit more natural, don't they? So
they're recessed, okay, so you've got something you can poke one straight in there, which we'll show you. But these sit in the egg crate. You know, they're designed for that. So there's a lot of occasions when I've had a coral that's actually growing out on the frag plug that I get hold of the Dremel and slip the end off it and then put it onto one of those plugs, okay, as part of the process, because these, the coral gets tall, they're unstable, okay, and that's the biggest problem. Now another thing I do, so I'll show you, you know, is I use these a lot. You know, these are great, so you know, and pretty handy when you're trying to do it.
those other ones, you find if you stick them into rock stone, like they will actually crust out.
These?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You know, stick them down a crack or something like that.
Absolutely. There's a couple in that tank in there that you might have seen that have actually started just like that, and now you wouldn't know there was a plug there at all.
Yeah.
So yeah, these, again, so if you get it in situ, where you want it to...
You've got a spot to stick it, bloody.
Exactly, but it's amazing how many times there is just a little hole there, and the good thing is you jam it in and it won't move. So when using one of these, again, now we used a smaller one.
So how long do the frags in the air for?
Ages. I've left them out of the water for half an hour. It doesn't bother me in the least. Doesn't bother them either. There's a number of times I've been overseas, and there's places where you go, and the acros are completely exposed for hours at a time. Full, you know, you go to Bali and places like that, you walk out in the reefs there, and the place is just, you know, they're amazing. They slime up. That's one thing you'll find with all these. You get these home, they create a lot of mucus, and that's how they protect themselves. So it's important that when you put them into your tank, I mean, you guys going home with corals tonight, I'll be getting a bucket of water like this, get them out of the bag, put them in there and give them a really good slough around before you put them into your tank. And what you'll find is they'll slime up and they'll have little bubbles coming off them. And you want to basically, after about half an hour having them in your tank, you want to get the old turkey baster and give them a good squirt and get rid of all that mucus. That's sloughing, it's called in nature, and that's how they clean themselves. And if you're not removing that, that encourages bacteria and algae and a lot of other issues. So you'll see they'll look bubbly and they'll go all slimy. Get rid of all that crap. So there you go. So that's how hard it is. Okay. What I've done with some of them, in fact, like the bigger ones, I've actually had a much better result by lying them long ways. Okay, not have the frag sticking up, actually lie the frag down on the plug. Now, you don't get the immediate visual impact of having it like that, but you get multiple growth. That's how they occur in nature. You know, they don't land on the bottom like that. They land, you know, when they're hit by a cyclone or whatever, and great results from that. Really, really good. Again, takes a bit longer, but in crusts, you know, you get like 5 or 6 shoots instead of just this one tip. Like this one here, got 2 bits. If I was brave enough and I'd lay that down, I guarantee in 2 months you'd have 4 or 5 new growth tips on it. But that takes time. So, you know, we all like instant results with our corals. But if you can be patient and let them settle in, they're as good as gold, and they do better growing side on. So, these bits here, I can do a couple more. If anybody is interested in taking a couple home, you're welcome, guys. So we've butchered that one for you, Al.
Yeah, take it.
You know, but the Dremel's a great tool, very effective. I mean, you know, use these little side cutters, but to be honest, this or these and a Dremel are pretty much all you. And a lot of times, just your bloody fingers. They just snap off as easy. Sometimes it's just the bottoms are rough. So even if you use a bit of wet sandpaper on a cork board and just rub, you know, you don't have to go and buy a bloody Dremel, or your wife's nail file or anything like that, you know, just to level the bottom of them out, it just gives them a better chance of getting, you know, established onto the plug and gives them a good point of contact, and off they go. So, why don't we try one of these? So these are great. Like I say, the people who make the frag plugs also make these, mob called Ocean Wonders, and I've reused those a few times.